Today I want to talk to you about exploring how to use Excel using what's called business intelligence. And what we do, you have to recognize with computers today, companies store large and large and large amounts of data. And there are many tools to analyze this data, and Excel is one of them. It's not a great one for data warehouse or data mining. However, you can use it, and one way to use it is doing what's called creating an Excel query. There are databases online, and typically those are stored in what's called an XML file, which is Extensible Markup Language file. There's data stored in databases, whether it's an SQL server or whether it's an Access database. So today what I want to do is show you the Power Query editor that is part of Excel today. And what it does, it allows you to take data that's outside of the worksheet and workbook and manipulate it, organize it, arrange it the way you want to see it. It's actually a software. It's a window that floats on top of the Excel worksheet. It has its own ribbons and commands, and we're going to take a look at that today. All right, so what I first want to do is we're going to import or get a file from an XML file and also bring in data from a database file. So I have the XML file open. Let me just show it to you. And this is a spa sales data. I opened it up in WordPad. XML files can be opened up in some type of like Notepad or WordPad file, a text editor file, software. And what you see is all just different tags. XML is an upgrade from the HTML, but it's still different types of tags. Tags are in those greater than, less than signs. So here is here's a product number 109, and here's the end of that product. Here's the price it sold, or the amount sold, 5, end sold. So this is a table about spa sales data. Okay, so let's begin. We want to bring that XML file, bring it into an Excel spreadsheet. So we go over to our data ribbon and click the drop down arrow for get data. We're going to choose from a file, and it gives you the most common types of files that you import a data to. So you could import it from another Excel workbook, a text file, or a CSV file, which is a comma separated value file. We have an XML file. Now we're going to go browse to where I have this file, and here I just have it located on this folder. Here's my XML spa sales XML file, which I just showed you. I'm going to go ahead and click import. Now we get the window open that says, okay, you want to bring this in, and it tells you it's the table. It tells you a schema that's part of that table, and the date it was generated. So we're not going to load it right now. We want to actually edit it. So sometimes you might have, my button says edit. You might have a version that says transform data. Either one of those works. So go ahead and click the edit button. And now what happens is we have opened up the Power Query editor. And you can see that it has its own ribbons. We have the file, home, transform, add a column, and view. It has the properties over here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is let's click the expand button to expand the table. And when you click that, it's saying, what do you want to show? I want all the columns to show, and I want them to use the same column prefix as the XML file has. So you go ahead and click OK, and it expands the table to show you that there is a column called table spa sales date, one for product, one for sold. Shows you the schema, which is the way it was organized, okay, and formatted, and then the date it was generated, which was 5/13/2018. Okay, so let's go ahead and click in the spa date table. And what happened when we imported, when Excel imported this, it gave it a data type of text, but we know that's a date, so we're going to change that to a date time field. So it shows you exactly the date. It translates it to look more like the date and the time. Okay, we want to click on the product sales. Again, this is text. You know what, product number, it could remain text, but let's just go ahead and change it to whole number. And then when we import our Access database table, we're going to import the product ID as a number too, so that later on we can join them and pull the data together. All right, I want to rename this, so I'm going to click on the tab and come up to transform and then select rename, and I'm just going to call this table spas dot product ID and just hit enter to rename it. If we come over to the next column, table tools spa sold, and go back to home, again it came in as text. These are quantity of amounts sold, so we want to change that data type to whole number. The last two fields here, or columns, we note do not need. So let's just click on the first one, hold your control key to select the next one, and then on your home ribbon, click the button to say remove columns and remove columns. So now we only have 3 columns in this table, or in this, of the data. This is the data we want to bring in, okay? And you can see it's going to be linked to the file itself, okay? So now we're finished. We're happy with the data that we see. We're going to go ahead and click load, close and load. And it takes a few minutes, but the data is generated and loaded in. We have the date and time, the product ID, and the spa data. And the queries and connections window opens up, so we've loaded 54 rows from this XML spa sales table. Please realize that this is connected to the table. You should try and store the data in the same folder, so that if someone who's been updating this XML spas data table opens it up and updates it, this data will automatically be refreshed when we open it, or you can click the refresh button to bring in the updated data. So let's just quick name the new sheet XML data so that we remember that it came in from an XML file. All right, next I'm going to show you how to get data from an Access database. So again, we're going to start with data, get data. Okay, so it's telling you, okay, is the data in a file, a database? You can see the other sources. This is from a database. Most likely, a lot of your databases are on your SQL Server databases. We're going to use Microsoft Access. And again, I locate the file where it is, and I'm going to import it. Okay, and what's going to happen here, because Access is a Microsoft Office product, it actually opens up the database and tells you that you have 11 objects created within this database. Do you want to bring in all of them? No, we only want to bring in the table called Spa Products. So let's just select that table. And you can see it gives you a preview of what it looks like. Let's open up the Power Query to make sure that the data types are correct and the field names are okay. So I'm going to click Edit. You may have a Transform Data button there. All right, so let's see here. First of all, let's click on product number and let's go up to transform ribbon, rename, and let's rename that product ID because eventually we're going to join this table with the XML data table. Okay, that's going to be a different video, but that's what you're going to be able to do. All right, if you notice, and we go back to our home ribbon here, product ID is a whole number. If you know you're going to join this field with another field in another table or another spreadsheet, they have to be the same data type. So we already made product ID from the XML table a whole number. This is also going to be a whole number data type too. Okay, department looks good. Description is text and that looks good. And the unit price, because it is dollars and cents, wasn't brought in as whole number, it was brought in as currency. So all these fields and field or column headings look great. So let's go ahead and click load and close and load. And let's give it a few minutes to load, a few seconds. All right, and you can see now it brought in the product ID, the department, the description, and the unit price. Okay, what's interesting is even though we brought it in as currency, it's not formatted to currency. So realize we'll have to end up having to format that. But if you look over here, queries and connections, we brought in very quickly. Look how quick we brought in the data. 25 records from the table in an Access database table and 54 different records from an XML file. Okay, so that's how you can, that's using the Power Query. That's how you bring in data from external resources. Oh, let's rename this. What do we want to rename this? A database data, okay? And we can then save the file and we'll manipulate this in a future video.